Hi everyone. So today I want to talk about the question that I probably get asked most often, which is how on earth did George and Joseph Cheesemongers come about? How did they get into it? And kind of what's the origin story for the business really? So it's a great question, and I have to go all the way back to 2011. I had turned 40 the year beforehand. I'd done 20 years in my IT career and 10 years in the job I was doing at the time, and starting to feel like what would I have done if I'd had my time again, do things differently. And I always had a bit of an inkling that I fancied doing something in food with a delicatessen or a shop or something like that. So anyway, 2011 comes along and I spot on Twitter a cheese club starting up in Leeds called Homage to Fromage, which is an amazing name. And I went along to the first meeting they held. There was about 15, 20 people there, and we blind tasted some different cheddars and had great fun. And that kind of kick-started a bit of my interest, particularly in cheese that I'd always been into all my life. And that was kind of the beginnings. I kept going to their cheese clubs, and a few months later, they'd grown to having over 100 odd people going to a monthly cheese event in Leeds. And I started thinking there isn't really anywhere to buy good cheese in Leeds at that point in time. I also saw an opportunity to leave my IT job and start doing some freelance IT work instead. And at the same time, I started to do farmers markets and fairs at weekends. The very first market I did, I really remember it vividly. It was in Chapel Allerton, where we were living at the time, a suburb in Leeds. And there's a community group there called Cara who ran an Easter Fun Day event on the Easter weekend in the car park of the local supermarket. I took a stall there, got some cheese from a great guy called Simon Lacey, who's a cheesemaker up in North Yorkshire. And I set up a table. I had about 25 different pieces of cheese. And I stood there and I gave out samples and tasters, and we sold pretty much everything that day. And I felt on top of the world. And that really sort of spurred me on. And so I kept going. I found more fairs and markets to sign up to. And then later that year, I did about a 6-month stint down at Leeds Kirkgate Market, which was a real eye-opener. It taught me a lot about selling cheese, about people, about the world. Really good fun. So the following year, 2013, I saw a shop to rent in Chapel Allerton again, and did some sums, did the numbers, decided to apply to take the lease there. We took that on and opened up that shop the back end of August that year, the same weekend as a big arts and music festival that takes place on that street every year. So I wanted to be open for that weekend. 10,000 people there outside, and me inside having a moment of panic, thinking, I've never run a shop before. I don't know that much about cheese. Is this going to work? I had an IT project going on at the same time, and there were a couple of issues there as well. So I had a brief moment of doubt about everything, but luckily had a word with myself and was able to pick up and move on. And the opening was successful. We were in that shop for 4 years. And in 2017, we moved around the corner onto our current shop, which is on the high street next to an amazing butcher's, fishmongers and greengrocers. And we've been there ever since. So we celebrated 10 years of trading in both those shops earlier this year, which seems to have gone by in the twinkling of an eye. So that's where George and Joseph came from. And that's where we are now.